I'm standing on Old Alton Bridge right now, and something's off. I don't mean the stories, the dares, the middle-of-the-night nonsense my buddies kept laughing about on the drive over. I mean the way the air feels, too still, too heavy, like the whole place is waiting for something I haven't noticed yet. Fog hangs low across the boards, soft enough to see through but thick enough to make the headlights behind me look swallowed. Every sound carries farther than it should. Even my breath feels loud. Tyler's somewhere behind me, joking about how this is just a bridge, but his voice comes in warped, not quiet, just tilted, like the sound's coming from a different angle than where he's standing. Chris taps his flashlight against the railing, trying to get it to stop flickering, and the metal vibrates under my feet. But only on one side, like the whole structure is leaning, even though I can see it's perfectly level. I keep telling myself it's nothing. Just late. Just fog. Just nerves I didn't think I had. The water below should be moving. It always moves. Rivers don't just freeze in place without warning, but right now, it's flat. Flat like glass. When Mason leans over to check it with his phone light, the reflection doesn't match the beam. His light shakes, but the reflection doesn't. It stays perfectly still, like a photograph that forgot to update. I don't say anything. No one else seems to notice, and I don't want to be the one who ruins the stupid thrill of sneaking out here at 12:43 a.m., but my chest feels tight anyway. The kind of tight that makes you think twice before taking the next step. Then something shifts. Not big. Not dramatic. Just a soft, heavy drop, like a single footstep landing somewhere behind us on the boards. None of us moved. I'm sure of that. The sound is too close, too real, and too deliberate to be the bridge settling. Chris lifts his flashlight again, and the beam twitches upward on its own for half a second, like something nudged his wrist. He swears and jerks back. Tyler laughs, but even he sounds unsure now. I take one more step forward, slow and careful, just to prove nothing's wrong. But the moment my shoe touches the next plank, the fog pulls back a little, like it's reacting, like it's breathing with me. And that's when I finally understand the part none of us said out loud on the drive here. This bridge isn't empty, it's paying attention. Most nights my life is quiet in the kind of way people don't notice. I work late shifts at a hardware store in Denton County, stocking shelves, answering the same questions, dealing with the same tired customers who wander in right before closing. It's routine, predictable. The sort of job where fluorescent lights buzz louder than the conversations. I don't complain. I'm not looking for adventure or ghosts or whatever people claim hangs around that old bridge. I get off work, grab a drive-through dinner, and head home to an apartment that's too quiet but manageable. That's enough for me. I've never been the superstitious type either. My mom used to joke that I was born without a spooky bone, because even as a kid I didn't flinch at dark basements or creaking attics. If something made a noise, I assumed it had a reason. Wind. Pipes. Someone forgot to close a window. Life feels easier when you don't turn every shadow into a nightmare. So when Tyler first brought up the idea of checking out Goatman's Bridge on our next day off, I rolled my eyes hard enough to make him laugh. He does that a lot, laughing at how serious I look even when I'm calm. Tyler's the type who thrives on dares, especially if it earns him a reaction. Mason is the opposite. He talks maybe half as much as the rest of us, but carries a phone he uses like a third eye, always filming, always catching the moments everyone else ignores. Then there's Chris, who startles at anything louder than his own heartbeat. He pretends he's chill, but the guy keeps a flashlight in his car, one in his bag and one clipped to his belt, just in case. Together, we make a weird enough group to feel balanced. I'm the steady one. They're the chaos. It works. We'd planned the hangout for a week. Nothing big, just getting food, wasting time, arguing about music in the car. Someone brought up the bridge again halfway through the evening, and Tyler wouldn't let it drop. "Come on, man," he said, grinning at me like he already knew he'd win. "You work nights. You can handle a little midnight field trip." I told him I wasn't scared. I just didn't see the point. "Exactly," he said. "Then prove it." It was stupid logic, and I knew it, but after a long shift and a long day, sometimes it's easier to go along than argue. So I shrugged and said, "Fine, whatever. Let's get it over with." Looking back, I probably should have paid more attention to the weird stuff earlier that day. Not dramatic things, just small, irritating glitches that didn't line up with normal life. My phone alarm went off 10 minutes early, even though the displayed time was correct. A coworker called me Jason twice, even after I corrected him the first time. And at one point, while I was restocking the lumber aisle, I heard footsteps behind me, slow, steady ones, only to turn around and find the aisle completely empty. The kind of empty that feels hollow. But every store creaks at night. Every building has echoes. I didn't think much of it. Another glitch showed up when I got home to change before meeting the guys. My keys weren't where I left them. I always dropped them in the ceramic dish by the door. Habit drilled into me after losing them twice in the same month. But they weren't there. The dish was empty, the counter was clean, and for a second, I wondered if I had misplaced them at work. Then I found them sitting in the middle of my kitchen table. I don't leave anything on the table except groceries, and even those I put away immediately. Still, I chalked it up to being tired. End of story. The final straw, the one that should have made me stop and think, happened right as I stepped out of the apartment. I locked the door, pocketed the keys, turned to leave, and froze. My shadow on the hallway wall looked wrong. Not dramatic, not monstrous, just wrong. I was standing perfectly still, but the shadow's shoulders shifted a little, as if it were adjusting its stance an inch before I could, like it was impatient, like it was waiting. I blinked, stepped forward, and the moment passed. Normal shadow, normal hallway, normal night. I told myself it was probably headlights outside making weird angles. That's all. By the time I met up with the guys, the glitches had faded to background noise. The kind of things you only remember once everything else goes wrong. They joked during the drive. Tyler kept nudging me about being quiet for someone who claims he's not nervous. I wasn't nervous. I was just tired. When we turned onto Old Alton Road and saw the fog bleeding across the asphalt like spilled milk, nobody said anything for a minute. The bridge sat ahead of us, arched, silent, darker than it should have been, with all our headlights pointed straight at it. It didn't feel haunted. It felt too still, too aware. "Perfect night for a ghost," Tyler said. I almost told him to shut up. The moment I stepped out of the car, something in the air pressed against me, soft, subtle, like a hand on my chest reminding me to be careful. I brushed it off. Just fog. Just the hour. Just nerves I supposedly didn't have. But when Mason lifted his phone to start recording our stupid adventure, the timestamp on his screen glitched for half a second, jumping forward, then backward, then settling on the exact minute I first noticed my shadow behave wrong. "Probably nothing," I muttered, "except nothing shouldn't line up that neatly." And that's when the night stopped feeling like a joke. The bridge feels smaller when you see it from the road, but the moment we step onto it, something about the scale changes. The boards seem spaced a little wider than they should be. The fog is thicker than it was minutes ago, curling around our legs like it's trying to memorize us. The weak glow from the streetlights behind us barely reaches past the first 10 feet of the railing. No cars, no wind, no night sounds. Even the river below sounds wrong, like the flow has been pinched down to a thin, trapped line. Tyler leads the way, stomping a little harder than necessary to prove a point. Mason hangs back, filming everything like he always does, checking angles as if the fog itself might photobomb him. Chris sticks close to me, his flashlight flickering even though he swapped in fresh batteries in the car. I walk slower, not because I'm scared, but because something here makes me want to double-check every detail twice. Then the first sound hits. Not a creak, not a splash. A solid, heavy thump, like something with real weight landed somewhere near the underside of the bridge. Tyler stops mid-step and looks back at us. "You guys heard that, right?" I swallow. "Probably a beaver or something in the water." Chris shakes his head. "A beaver doesn't make a whole board vibrate, man." Before I can say anything else, the sound repeats. Same rhythm, same distance, like it's waiting for us. Mason shines his phone through the gaps between the boards. I don't see anything. But the light hitting the river doesn't behave right. It stays smooth, still, not a single ripple even though the beam trembles in Mason's hand. It looks less like water and more like a flat, painted surface pretending to be water. When I look up again, there's someone standing at the far end of the bridge, a silhouette, human-shaped, completely motionless. "Do you guys—" I don't finish, because the figure tilts its head a few degrees to the side, then freezes again. I force myself to sound logical. Probably someone out for a midnight walk. But it's almost 1 a.m. The fog is freezing. Nobody stands that still unless they're doing it on purpose. Tyler shrugs. Probably messing with us. But even he sounds unsure. We keep going. Chris steps onto the next board and it shivers under him, subtle enough to miss if you weren't paying attention, but he feels it. He shines his flashlight down again. Something is under here. Before he finishes, his flashlight jerks a few inches left like someone tapped the front of it. "Don't do that," he snaps, glaring at us. But none of us touched him. None of us were even close enough. Then the pattern starts. First, the thump, repeating every 8 seconds. I count it without meaning to. Perfect rhythm, no variation. Next, Chris's flashlight. Every time it flickers, its beam shifts a tiny bit. Left, right, left, like something is testing different angles. Then Mason's phone joins in. The screen brightens, dims, brightens again, all on the same exact beat as the thumping under the boards. He shows me the screen. "Dude, it's syncing with the sound." Tyler forces a laugh. "Old bridge, bad wiring. It's not that weird." But nobody breathes easy after that. I crouch down again and listen. This time, I'm paying attention to the vibration. Not the sound, but the way it travels. It isn't water. It isn't wood. It isn't wind. It feels like the board itself is generating the sound, but not from pressure. From intent. I stand up, heartbeat a little faster. "That's not coming from below." Tyler frowns. "Then from where?" I can't explain it. The wood, inside the wood, or something using it. Chris's flashlight clicks off, then back on, and now it's pointing straight at Tyler's chest. "Dude, stop!" Tyler yelps. "It's not me!" Chris raises both hands. We fall into a thick, loaded silence, the kind that makes your ears ring. The air feels heavier, like the fog is compressing around us. That's when the first object moves. Chris dropped his backpack when we stepped onto the bridge. We all saw where it fell. It stayed put through everything, right near the entrance. But when Mason pans his camera past it again, the backpack is farther down the bridge by several feet near the railing. None of us walked that way. "Chris," I say quietly, "your bag." He turns, sees it, freezes. "No, I didn't. Nobody touched it," I cut in. Then Mason whispers, "Jordan, look." He points toward the far end again, and I see it. The figure is still there, still motionless, still wrong, but now I can make out details, or rather, attempts at details. It's trying to look like a person, trying to look like someone specific. Its posture leans the way I lean. Its shoulders mimic the way mine tense when I'm cold. Its head tilts at the same angle I use when I'm trying to listen closely. But it isn't me. It's an incorrect version of me, a draft, a sketch, a guess, a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. A stance with limbs slightly too long or too short, a silhouette that doesn't obey human symmetry. Tyler breathes out. Is that supposed to be you, Jordan? I don't answer, because the thing isn't just mimicking me, it's learning me, watching us, testing angles, syncing rhythms, moving objects, rearranging details. Every single pattern tonight is pointing to the same truth. This thing isn't here to scare us. It's here to become something, and it's using us, using me, as its template. For the first time since stepping on the bridge, I feel something cold slide down my spine. Whatever's out here isn't wandering. It's not confused. It's not random. It's reacting to our steps, to our light, to our attention, to our presence. And now I finally understand what I didn't want to admit. This thing is building itself, one pattern at a time. And we're the ones helping it. The bridge doesn't just feel wrong now, it reacts. Every board under us starts carrying a faint vibration, like something heavy is pacing somewhere we can't see. The pattern we heard earlier shifts, turning into uneven, weighty steps that press into the wood from different angles. Left side, right side, behind us. Then, directly beneath me, as if something just put its full weight there and is deciding what to do next, Chris grips my arm. Did you feel that? Before I answer, a sharp clack echoes across the bridge. Not hooves exactly. Something between hooves and knuckles hitting wood. A compressed, dense sound, like weight being forced into the planks. Tyler shines his flashlight into the fog. Who's there? This isn't funny. Nothing answers, but the board under him sags an inch. He stumbles back. Dude, okay, stop messing around. Seriously! No one's doing anything, I say, but my voice doesn't sound like mine. The next moment slams into us fast. Something rushes past on the right side of the bridge, fast enough that the air compresses and pulls my jacket slightly toward it. Mason yells, almost dropping his phone. Chris swings his flashlight toward the movement, but the beam bends, like something unseen blocks part of the cone of light. A shape, but not solid. A shadow, but not anchored to any body. And then, thump, 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 directly between us. The vibrations bloom outward, pushing dust from the cracks in the boards. Something is standing right there, inches from Tyler. But there's nothing to see. Tyler backs up so hard, he nearly slams into me. No. Nope. Hell no, I'm not doing this. Jordan. What is that? His sentence cuts off when the boards on both sides of us bow downward, like two invisible feet pressed into them. Heavy, intentional. The weight rolls forward toward Chris, shifting the planks one by one. Tap, 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 until it stops next to him. Chris gasps and freezes, flashlight trembling in his hands. Something unseen leans in close enough that I hear a faint inhale, a breath that doesn't match any of ours. Too low, too slow, too focused on him. I think it's smelling me, Chris whispers, eyes wide. Before anyone can react, his flashlight is ripped upward an inch by nothing, not pulled, just moved, like someone pressed their finger under the edge and nudged it, and the beam lands directly on a shadow that does not belong to any of us. It lies across the boards at an impossible angle, too tall, too narrow, with a spine-like curve that trembles as if adjusting itself. When Chris moves the flashlight, the shadow adjusts. Not following the light, following him. That breaks us. Tyler shouts, "Run!" He sprints toward the middle of the bridge. Mason goes the opposite direction toward the road. Chris bolts past me, panting so loud it echoes. I'm the only one who hesitates, because when I try to move, the board under me tightens, not flexes, tightens like something beneath the wood grabbed it. I yank my foot free and sprint after Chris. The fog thickens instantly, like a curtain dropping. The bridge that was 5 feet wide feels like a narrow hallway now. I can only hear fragments. Tyler cursing, Mason yelling something about seeing eyes, Chris choking on his breath. My lungs burn as I keep running, but the fog keeps pulling at my clothes like fingers. Then, silence. Not a gradual fade, a complete suffocating cut. My footsteps stop echoing, their voices vanish. Even the river is gone. I slow down, heart thudding. Guys? Nothing. The fog parts just enough for me to see a shape ahead, a dark outline of the railing. I move toward it, hoping I'm close to the end of the bridge. But when I look down, I see the boards under my feet have changed. Slightly different color, slightly different grain, as if the bridge rearranged itself. I kneel, running my hand along the wood. The surface is warmer than night air should allow. There's a dent too, shallow, circular, like someone pressed a fist or a hoof into it, but the edges of the dent are wrong, oval, stretched, like something is still learning the right shape. Behind me, a whisper rises. Not words, not breath. More like someone trying to imitate the sound of whispering without knowing how human throats work. I spin around, shining Chris's spare flashlight. Nothing stands there. But an object rests on the boards 2 feet away. Tyler's keychain. The metal charm is still vibrating, which is impossible unless someone had just dropped it. Tyler? My voice is too loud, too alone. Then something answers, not in words, not in sound, in rhythm. The boards behind me indent one by one, tap, 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 and stop exactly where my shadow falls. I turn slower this time. There's nothing in front of me. But my shadow isn't right. The arms are too long, the shoulders too narrow, the head slightly tilted the wrong way. It's trying to mimic me again. I step to the right. The shadow hesitates, then follows a fraction late. I move left. It mirrors me, almost. My throat tightens. Please don't. That's when someone grabs me. A hand, real, desperate, clamps onto my jacket and yanks me sideways. I almost scream until I hear Mason's voice. "Jordan, over here!" He's crouched near the railing, shaking, phone still recording. "I lost them," he says. Tyler went toward the middle. Chris ran to the road, and something followed him. Followed? He nods violently, but not by walking. He lifts his phone with trembling fingers. The video shows Chris's flashlight beam ahead and a second beam right behind him. But Chris was alone. I grab Mason's wrist gently. "We need to stick together. Where's the road?" He points through the fog. "That way, I think." We move slow, cautious, each step making the wood creak in a way that doesn't match our weight. Something large moves beneath us, gliding instead of stepping. The boards rise and fall like waves under a heavy body. We freeze. A voice calls out from ahead, sharp, authoritative. "Hello? Denton County Sheriff's Office! If anyone's out there, say something!" Deputy Laura Keene emerges from the fog with a hand on her holster, her flashlight bright and steady. Relief washes through me so fast I nearly fall. "Officer, thank God," I start. "My friends—" She cuts me off. "I got a call about shouting on the bridge. How many of you are—" Behind her, something shifts. Not a shape, not a person. A distortion, like heat haze bending the air. It hovers inches behind her shoulder, pulsing with a slow inhale-out, exhale rhythm. I blink. The distortion shifts again, tilting its head in the same exact angle the mimic version of me had used earlier. Testing her shape now, studying her. "Deputy," I whisper. "Don't move." She frowns. "Excuse me." Mason sees it too. His lips part, but no sound comes out. The boards behind her buckle. She doesn't even feel it. The distortion leans closer to the back of her neck, the way something might lean in to smell a person before deciding whether they're the right shape to copy. I force myself to speak again. "Deputy, please, step forward, now." She opens her mouth to ask why, and the boards beside her split with a sound like a ribcage cracking open. She leaps forward just in time. The distortion snaps backward into the fog like a rewound frame of bad video. Her breathing spikes. "What the hell was that?" I shake my head. "I don't know, but it's been doing that all night." Something heavy drops onto the boards behind us. We spin around. There's still no figure, no face, no body, but its breathing is here now, closer, wet, slow, wrong. The boards beneath my feet tighten again. The wood depresses exactly where my footprint is, matching my stance inch for inch. It's copying me faster now, more accurately, like it's almost done. "Run," I whisper, "just run." We bolt, me, Mason, and Deputy Keene, racing toward the road as something unseen matches us step for step. Only now, every time I move, I feel a second set of footfalls land with mine. Perfect sync, perfect mimicry, like it's trying to line up with my body, to slip into my place, to take it. I feel the boards drop under a weight that isn't mine. A breath hit my ear that isn't human. And for one terrifying second, I feel its presence overlap my shadow, almost fitting, almost right, almost me. Then the road's edge bursts through the fog and we leap off the bridge, breaking whatever hold it had, but I swear its last footstep lands on my heel as I hit the ground. We clear the bridge in one desperate sprint, and the second my shoes hit solid ground, the world tilts. Not violently, just enough that the horizon seems to bend a little, like the fog is pushing down on everything except me. My chest burns. My lungs can't decide whether to gasp or hold still. Behind us, the bridge looms through the mist, longer now, stretched out like someone grabbed its ends and pulled. Mason collapses next to a concrete post, clutching his phone like it's the only real object left in the world. Deputy Keene keeps glancing over her shoulder, one hand on her holster, the other covering her mouth as she tries not to panic. I step back, putting distance between us because I need space to think, to breathe. But the second I stop moving, something feels wrong with the air around me. The sounds, my breathing, Mason's coughing, Keene's boots grinding dirt, they don't echo right. They bend, warble, flatten, like the bridge has followed me off itself. I wipe sweat from my forehead. My hand comes away shaking. Keene finally looks at me. "What the hell happened on that thing?" I don't answer. I don't have an answer, not a real one. Only impressions, patterns, the kind of truth that isn't solid but hits like cold water anyway. Mason is still staring at me. "Jordan, it was copying you. You saw that, right?" I nod slowly. "Yeah." But standing here now, a few feet away from the bridge, something clicks inside me in a way I don't like. It wasn't just copying me, it was testing me, trying me on, trying to see how I fit. A low breeze moves through the trees, but the air doesn't cool. My skin stays hot, prickling like static is trapped beneath it. Tyler's still missing. Chris, too. I should be focused on finding them, but every time I think about stepping back onto the bridge, something in me recoils. Not fear, instinct. Something about that place is choosing, claiming, and I don't know if going back would be rescuing anyone or just bringing it exactly what it wants. Keene steps closer. "You said it was Breathing? Behind me? Yes. And, something grabbed the boards. I nod again. She rubs her forehead. Jesus. Okay, we need backup, or search and rescue, or... Don't say its name, I interrupt. She blinks. Its name? Mason whispers. Goatman. Stop, I snap. The air flexes. I swear the fog folds in on itself for a second, like a breath pulled inward from somewhere it shouldn't be. Keen freezes. What was that? I swallow hard. I think I understand part of it. Her eyes lock onto mine. Explain. I look back at the bridge, still half buried in fog. The boards shift lightly under no visible weight, not lifting, adjusting. Every time we said the name, I say, it got stronger. Mason frowns. What do you mean, stronger? It reacted. You saw it. The thumps, the wood bending, the shadow fixing itself. Every time someone said Goatman, it sharpened. Keen shakes her head. You think saying a name does something? I don't think it's the name itself, I say quietly. I think it's what the name means, what we were expecting, what we were picturing. Mason's breathing stutters, like it was learning from us. Not just learning, I say, building, piecing together something it isn't, but we keep helping it become. Keen stands still, processing that. So it's not Goatman. No, then what is it? I exhale shakily. Something that wasn't finished until we showed up. She lowers her voice. Not human. No. A spirit? I shake my head. Spirits don't need scaffolding. Keen looks at me sharply. Scaffolding? It didn't have a real shape, I say. It was using us as the blueprint, and every time we gave it attention, every time someone reacted, looked at it, named it, it filled in another piece. And you think it chose you? She asks. I don't answer. Because I don't need to. The answer is obvious. The first misalignment happened to me. The shadow glitching. The phone alarm's wrong. The footsteps behind me at the store. My keys moving. Even the reflection on the bridge staying still while mine shook. It wasn't random. It was practicing. On me. Building the version of me it showed on the bridge. The wrong-angled head. The uneven shoulders. The off-ratio limbs. Almost right. Almost me. A chill races across my spine even though the night is warm. Keen steps closer. Jordan, look at me. Are you hurt? Did it touch you? No, I whisper. But it didn't need to. She stares. Explain. It doesn't learn by touching. It learns by watching, by being watched, by being called. Mason swears under his breath. We said Goatman like 5 times. I close my eyes. And each time it thought that's what we wanted. So it tried to become that. But it could never match it, because it isn't that. It isn't anything. It's unfinished. Like wet clay waiting for someone to decide what it's supposed to be. Keen's voice drops, and it thinks you're the template. I don't deny it. I can't. Because even now, standing on solid ground, my shadow doesn't look right at the edges. Not wrong enough to notice unless you're looking for it, but wrong enough to feel. Mason grabs my arm suddenly. Jordan, holy crap. Look! He points back at the bridge. A figure stands at the edge, not on the boards, on the posts, perfectly balanced, but the shape is wrong, not animal, not human, not anything, but the tilt of its head matches mine exactly. Keen steps back. Oh my God, it doesn't move, it doesn't breathe, it only waits, silent, still, mimicking the angle of my stance down to the millimeter. What does it want? Mason whispers. I force myself to answer honestly. I think it wants to finish, Keen whispers. Finish what? Becoming. The figure twitches, just once, a small adjustment, like settling into a shape that feels more comfortable, more familiar. Mason backs up fast. Jordan, We need to go. Now. But I don't move, because the moment he says my name, the figure shifts again, quick, sharp, precise. It reacts to attention, I say, to names, to what we expect. That's the rule. That's the piece I understand. Keen grabs my shoulder hard. Then don't give it anything else. Don't look at it. Don't talk to it. Don't acknowledge it. I nod slowly. Silence. For the first time all night, silence feels like a weapon, a defense. I force myself not to speak, not to breathe loudly, not to think about it in words. But the truth settles in my stomach like a stone. It doesn't matter if we ignore it, because it already chose me long before tonight, and no amount of silence can undo that. Keen finally whispers, "Jordan, we have to move. You understand that, right?" I understand. But when I take a step backward, the figure on the bridge takes a step forward. No sound, no weight, just a shift, perfect, mirrored, aligned. Mason's voice cracks. "It's following you." "No," I say, heart pounding. "It's synchronizing." Keen pulls us toward the trees. "Then break the pattern, now." So I do the only thing left. I stop thinking about it, stop naming it, stop reacting to it. I let my mind go blank, empty, silent. And for a brief, impossible moment, the figure freezes, stuck mid-movement, held in place by the absence of what it needs: attention, recognition, identity. Keen tugs me harder. "Jordan, come on!" We sprint toward the road, leaving the bridge behind, and the figure doesn't chase. But I don't mistake that for safety. As we reach the trees, breathless and shaking, a cold understanding settles in me like a second skeleton. It doesn't need to be on the bridge to finish. It only needs me. It only ever needed me. And somewhere behind us, on the boards we left behind, something shifts its weight, just enough to let me know it's still learning, still adjusting, still becoming, and it isn't done, not even close. They let me go home just before sunrise. I didn't fight them on it. I didn't ask for updates about Tyler or Chris. I didn't correct the parts of the report where Deputy Keen said she wasn't sure what she saw. None of us want to write the truth down. Words make things solid. And nothing about tonight should be given that kind of weight. My apartment looks the same as always. Quiet, dim, a little too cold for how early it is. But the silence inside feels different. Not peaceful, not empty. More like it's holding its breath, waiting to see what I do next. I sit on the edge of my bed for a while, shoes still on, jacket still zipped, fingertips still shaking even though the rest of me has gone numb. When I close my eyes, I see the bridge stretching out again, longer than it was, longer than it should be, and the fog pulling back like something was taking its first real inhale. I hear that heavy drop on the boards, that slow, deliberate echo, the same detail that started all of this, except now it's here. My kitchen light flickers once when I stand up, just once, but with the same stutter Chris's flashlight had right before the thing nudged it. I try to tell myself it's a coincidence. Bulb going out, bad wiring, normal stuff. But when I step into the hallway, the air thickens around me the same way it did on the bridge. Soft pressure, like a hand on my chest reminding me I'm not alone. I look down. My shadow's wrong again, not dramatically, just at the edges. The arm bends a little late when I lift mine. The head tilts a little too far when I lean, like it's struggling to remember the rhythm it practiced all night. I move away from it, step into the bathroom where the overhead light is bright enough to drown shadows out. My heartbeat climbs anyway. I splash water on my face and stare at the sink. The sound of the faucet should echo off the tile. It doesn't. It flattens, just like it did near the end of the bridge when everything around me felt bent. Then I hear it. A soft thump from somewhere near the living room. Not loud, not close, just enough to say it's inside now. The boards don't creak. There aren't any boards here. But whatever weight pressed down into the planks out there has found something else to press into. Carpet, tile, drywall, doesn't matter, it adapts. My phone buzzes, a notification, camera motion detected in my living room. But I don't have a camera. My breathing stutters. I reach for the light switch, then stop halfway. Because I know what comes next. I know what it wants. I know what it's waiting for me to admit out loud. And if I say it, if I call it anything, it'll finish the part of me it started out there.